Ivan with DIY Detail. Your car's dirty, but it's cold outside and you don't have running water in your garage. How do we take care of that? Follow along, we'll check it out. And off we go. The goal of the operation is to make the vehicle clean and get it ready for polishing and ceramic coating. Now, if you don't have running water in your garage and it's a little cool, it's better to go to one of these coin-op car washes and get it done there. We're doing this on a Friday afternoon, therefore there shouldn't be any people in line. Of course, if there's someone waiting in line, you want to give them the opportunity to go through before you. But if there's no one in line, you've got a nice, usually warm place with pressurized water to do the job. Before going into the car wash, I'm going to pre-spray the vehicle with All Clean in my AK foamer. I already have it pumped up, so now all I have to do is spray. Now it's my turn to go into the wash. So I'm starting with the soap. Even though I have the All Clean and Incredible Suds on here, I'm going to start with the high pressure soap and then we'll go to the rinse. Now the next thing we're going to do is not use the brush that's in here. You don't want to use that brush. What we are going to use is just go straight to the rinse. So we had the soap. This is the foaming brush, which we're not going to use. And now we're just going to a clear water rinse, and then we can leave. Because as the sign says there, hand washing is not allowed. Next step, when you're done, get out of the wash bay because there's other people waiting in line. Before the water dries on the surface causing water spots, I'm going to use rinseless wash, diluted 256:1 in my keg sprayer, and just cover the vehicle. I'm going to leave the rinseless wash here to prevent water spots. Then drive home, go into the garage, and then complete the wash. Any additional dirt that we pick up on the way home will be suspended in the rinseless wash, making it even easier for us. Off we go. Back in our daughter's garage, where we don't have running water because it's really cold outside and this place normally isn't heated. What we're going to be doing, since we went to the car wash, we took all the majority of the grit off. Coming back on a slightly wet road, it's about a 20-mile drive. Well, guess what? It's dirty again, but we don't have that heavy accumulation. We rinsed off as much as we could. Now we're going to use our rinseless wash again to rinse it, clean it, decontaminate it, and get it ready for polishing. Off we go. So I'm getting the rinseless wash, again, all on the surface. And on these lower panels, where we have a heavier accumulation, I'm going to be spraying a little more on, just to bring it down. Nice thing with the keg, I only need to move it once to get around the whole car. The hose is long enough that I don't have to worry about moving it around. I've got a very fine nozzle on here, which means, yes, I'm taking a little more time to spray, but at the same time, I'm not getting a lot of moisture on the floor. I'm not getting the whole garage wet. You can see how it rinses away the dirt quite nicely. Let the rinseless wash carry the grit down. I'm going to start by washing the roof and all the upper portions of the car. Yes, I'm going to go around it more than once, but in doing so, I'm reserving the bottom foot or so to capture all the grit and not get it on the rest of the vehicle. In my bucket, I have DIY rinseless wash at 256:1 and the legacy sponge. Squeezing out the sponge so I don't have an excess of moisture in it. You don't want to take your sponge like this to the car. Just want it just on the verge of dripping. Safety first. Don't be climbing on the vehicle. Have one of these nice little ladders here. Make it very easy to get to the roof and safe. Now that the roof is done, work my way around the vehicle. You will notice didn't do anything with the wheels and tires. There's a reason for that. We're in Quebec. These are winter wheels and tires. Traditionally, people really don't keep them well maintained. These ones are rusty. They're a steel wheel, so we're not worried about it. But the summer wheels are safely stored away in the utility shed, so when they come out in the spring, we'll clean them as well. When your bucket is on wheels, it's very easy to go around the vehicle, but always have the bucket where you're going instead of where you've been. Like I said, I'm not going to go too far down. I'm going to leave it at that. And you can see right here, I missed a line. So very easily picked it up. When you're washing with rinseless, no need for a lot of pressure. You're just gliding the sponge across the surface. Now you notice I left a little more humidity in my sponge purposely because in here is always an area it's quite dirty and has a lot of accumulation, which I just wanted to make sure that I had a little to rinse down with that. Now, keeping with the theme of the rest of the vehicle, I'm going to leave the lower bumper for later. Back up on my little step on the other side. Make sure I get the little antenna here. I want to get the whole roof. Now that I have rinseless spread all over the roof, I can go down again. Now that I've got the whole upper section done, I'm going to do the lowers. And instead of doing one part of the panel with one side of the sponge and then the other part of the panel with the other, I'm going to use 2 passes on everything. That way I'm sure I'm getting the grit off the surface. The first pass gets most of it off, then I flip the sponge and get the remainder off after that. I'm leaving my sponge a little wetter than normal. That way I can get to everything. Let me show you something. Those of you that are concerned with the sponge, so here's the sponge straight out of the water, or the rinseless solution in our case. Let me purposely pick up a lot of this dirt here. You can see how much dirt I've got on the sponge. Dunk, lift, squeeze. I've got a clean sponge once again. There we have it. Vehicle's all washed. Now it's time to decontaminate. We're going to be doing a ceramic coating on this vehicle. So in order to do the ceramic coating, we want to make sure we have everything off. We're going to be using iron remover and a perforated synthetic decontamination towel. Now you probably heard me before say we have no running water in here, and iron remover needs to be rinsed. Stay tuned, we'll show you how to deal with that. With the iron remover, it's as simple as 1 spray on the towel that's dipped in the rinseless wash, 1 on the panel. Where I put it on the panel is where I deposit my towel. And we can hear the grit on this one. This is a daily driver, sleeps outside all the time, gets washed a couple times a year. When do we know when to stop? Well, when we don't hear and feel the contamination anymore. And in this case, like I said, we have a lot of contamination on the surface. You can hear it, but you want to get rid of all that before you start polishing. Don't succumb to the temptation of, I'll put a little more pressure on it, it'll work faster. Wrong answer, it won't. The less pressure you use with the towel, the better it is. And if you want, you can do circular motions, you can do straight motions, you can do figure eights if you want, you can do triangles, it's all up to you. Whatever geometric shape suits your fancy will work. And now this area is finally decontaminated. Again, 1 spray here, 1 spray there, match the 2 up, and off we go. Just like the washing, I'm going to reserve the lowers for a little later. You always want to decontaminate your windows as well. Making them a lot easier to clean and better visibility. Time to redunk the towel. Your vehicle starts getting dry, you can respray a bit of rinseless or take your sponge and add a little more rinseless to the surface. DIY Detail Rinseless, as you can see, has surfactants in it, and they do a couple things for us. First of all, they give you a tracer, you can see exactly where you've been, but more importantly, they provide lubrication, and that lubrication makes it a lot safer to use your decontamination towel and your iron remover. Some iron removers contain solvents, and those solvents will actually degrade your towel. One question we get a lot is your decontamination towel safe with X brand of iron remover? We don't know. You'll have to test that yourself. We know ours are designed to work together. And you can hear the contamination on this window. One thing I want to point out is just how little iron remover we actually use. So see the level of the iron remover here. I've got one half of the vehicle done. Let's do the other half and see how much we have left when we come back. Now, before moving on to the lower sections of the vehicle, I'm going to rinse the upper section using the keg one more time. That way I'm going to have the iron remover moving down on the vehicle, but at the same time lubricating the bottom, which is starting to dry. To rinse it off, I've adjusted the pressure a little bit. So now we get a heavier stream of the rinseless. If your iron remover dries on the surface, it's not a catastrophic event. You just re-wet it and it'll be fine. What we want to focus on is getting the iron remover out of the cracks and crevices. And we're out of liquid. So let's show you how a keg works. Once we have 2 gallons of water in there, I'm going to add 2 capfuls of rinseless wash and then repressurize. We want to make sure this valve is seated. So when we're emptying the pressure, we lift it up like that. Just twist it, make sure that it's down. We insert the cap into the bottle, lift up on it, and while we're lifting, snap it down. From there, we add air. We keep filling the air till we get between 90 and 120 psi. The higher the pressure, obviously the higher pressure we'll have going out, and the longer we'll have pressure in the bottle. When you reach maximum pressure, it tells you by doing this. Just make sure that it's all sealed up. Just gonna take a second to squeegee the floor a little. There's still ice dripping from the bottom of the vehicle, plus what we've sprayed on the vehicle, so not walking around in water makes for a much more pleasant working experience. To clean the grill in this scenario, very easy. We're gonna take our rinseless wash, blast it in there, take a wheel and body brush, and clean the grill. And give it one more little blast. Now, we continue decontaminating the bottom half of the vehicle. Now on the front end here, we're never going to get rid of all that roughness because most of it is stone chips. The front-facing areas of the car get beat up. This is a fairly high mileage vehicle. So there's a lot of little stone chips. Actually, the lowers aren't too bad. This is our son-in-law's vehicle, and he works at a cement plant. So you can imagine the grit this vehicle is exposed to on a daily basis. Like I mentioned, the lowers are actually quite free of grit, surprisingly, which is nice. The back bumper, though, is another story. One big advantage of using iron remover in this method is you use a lot less. But another advantage is you don't get that normal odor that you get from an iron remover because you're not spraying it everywhere in the air. You're targeting and you're using very, very little of it. So there we have it. Now that we're done doing the iron remover on the vehicle, remember a few minutes ago I showed you how much was in the bottle? Well, now it's just a little bit above the label. Before we were maybe a quarter inch higher. That's how little iron remover we used to decontaminate this vehicle. That's why we have a lot less odor in here, and at the same time, this is one of the most expensive detailing chemicals you can buy. This way, you're not wasting it just by spraying it everywhere. The top, we already rinsed. I went around the bottom. Let's rinse the bottom off, and then we can dry the vehicle. The rinse and swash has a slight foaming effect, and so does the iron remover. That's why we're getting what looks like suds here. Washing all that iron remover out of all the little nooks and crannies. And finally, drying the vehicle. I'm using our waffle weave towel to do that. I like to keep it folded for a little more thickness. And no, I'm not using a drying aid, because in the next video, we're going to be polishing and coating this vehicle. I'm going to be doing it as a live video, so you'll be able to follow along. In the meantime, thanks for joining in. If you have any questions, comments, thoughts, or ideas, leave them below. And we'll see you in the next video on DIY Detail.